This story begins with Dr. Rose Cotter, a therapist who leads a fairly normal life, although certainly busy as every day she must attend to several patients who are suffering from some kind of mental disorder. Something interesting is that apparently Dr. Rose could see how her mother committed suicide when she was a child, but we will not know much about this until later. What seemed to be a fairly normal day at work was about to change when the doctor received a report that a local girls' teacher had hammered his face off. It seems that one of her students was the only witness to this. Rose quickly walks over to where she was, and the girl starts telling things that don't seem to make sense. She says that there is something following her that sometimes looks like her grandfather, who passed away many years ago. Sometimes it looks like another acquaintance, and sometimes it looks like random people. The most terrifying thing about it is that this entity always appears as a smile so terrifying that it boils your blood and you subconsciously know something bad is about to happen. The moment is interrupted when the girl says she sees the entity, making the doctor get up to ask for help. The bad thing is that when Rose turns around she can see the girl with that evil smile she was talking about, and before she can do anything she slices her own neck. Obviously this leaves Rose quite affected, and added to the fact that 2 police officers arrive asking questions, things only get more tense. Rose returns home, takes a bath and gets ready to relax. The funny thing is that in the dark of her kitchen, she thinks she sees the silhouette of a person laughing and staring at her. But this is interrupted by the arrival of a man in the house, a man named Trevor, Rose's partner. The couple go to dinner with Rose's sister and her husband and then return home. The next day the girl goes to work, bumping into one of the police officers from the previous day. His name is Joel, and we are given to understand that the two had a relationship, although it has obviously ended. Things get ugly again when she looks out the window and notices a stranger looking directly at her outside the building, which the girl attributes to her imagination, but suddenly the patient we saw at the beginning also appears with that strange smile, quickly altering Rose's sanity. The girl is sent home for a week to rest her mind, and incidentally buys a present for her nephew's birthday. Rose was just wrapping it when suddenly the alarm on the back door of her house goes off, making her think that someone was trying to break in. The police go to the place and after going all over the place inform her that they found absolutely nothing suspicious inside. At night, and while they were sleeping, a nightmare about her mother wakes her up suddenly, and being unable to sleep, the girl starts to analyze the recording of Laura, the girl who cut her own neck, realizing that a strange voice mentioned her name just before the incident. And suddenly, Rose goes to seek help from her therapist and quickly asks for a strong medicine due to the supposed hallucinations she has been seeing. However, the doctor tells her that no way, that first she should continue going to the therapies, and then she will see if she will give her some medicine. Rose goes to her nephew's birthday party, and although she tries to have a good time, it is simply impossible. The little boy begins to open his gifts and to enjoy his party, and when it is the turn of Aunt Rose's gift, he is going to have the scare of his life, as the corpse of Rose's cat is inside the box. This makes all the party guests nervous, and to top it all off, that smiling entity reappears, causing Rose to trip on a glass table and cut her arms badly. The couple returns home, and although Rose tries to tell Trevor about what she has been seeing, he simply doesn't believe her. The normal thing in that situation is to think that your partner is suffering from some kind of mental illness. As the hallucinations did not end, Rose decides to go to the house of the widow of the teacher that broke his own face with a hammer. She tells Rose that the man started seeing these things that just weren't there. Plus he started sleeping less and less. The interesting thing is that the man's widow takes Rose to the man's studio, where she finds several drawings with macabre smiles everywhere, and the most terrifying thing is that the woman reveals that the man began to see these images after he witnessed a woman commit suicide, exactly as it happened to her. Not knowing who to turn to, Rose goes to Joel, and since she is a cop and to move the plot forward she asks him to investigate about the events that happened recently. It is here when the girl realizes that absolutely all the people who have died by suicide were witnesses of other people who lost their lives in the same way, and knowing that now there is a connection she will have to find a way to stop it. Rose goes to find her sister to try to explain to her that the thing that is haunting her is real, and that it is in fact some kind of curse that is being passed between people. However, this visit only makes things worse, causing poor Rose to get a terrible scolding and ends up getting kicked out of the house.
Holly?
The officer contacts her again, telling her that he has been investigating about the chain events and that it has claimed approximately 20 people. However, there was one person who managed to escape from this chain and is now locked up in a local prison. So they both rush to the place, and inventing that a patient was going through the same thing you went through, Rose asks him to tell her everything he knows. It is here when the man confesses that he was investigating this entity and realized that a man in Brazil managed to get rid of it by killing someone in front of a witness. Because yes, friends, from that moment on, it will be the witness who will bear the curse. Rose clearly doesn't plan to kill someone to get rid of the entity, so she starts looking for more options. That's what she was doing when her therapist arrived home unannounced, and fearing that she might think something bad, she let her in. The conversation was going normally, Rose made up things to evade her and all that. The shit would come when the old woman put on that smile she had been running away from all this time, and after telling her that time was almost over, Rose knew she had to do something. So the next morning she takes a knife and goes to her workplace, going straight to where that patient from the beginning was. At that moment her boss appears to ask her what she is doing there, and before she can react, the girl pulls out the knife and starts stabbing the man. When she turns around, her boss rips off his face, but no, it was only a nightmare. The girl believes that the only way to keep the thing from hurting anyone is to stay away from people, and if she does commit suicide, the curse will die with her. She goes to her parents' old house, where a curious flashback reveals that Rose's mother actually realized that she had made a mistake when she tried to commit suicide. And although she asked little Rose for help, she was unable to act out of fear. Rose arms herself with a lamp and bravery for the moment when the entity appears. And just after a while the encounter takes place. Rose goes to her mother's room where, and incredibly, she finds her. Here the woman tells her that she is sorry for what she has lived through and the trauma it has caused her, and Rose confesses that even though she tried to help her as a little girl, there was nothing she could do, having to carry that thought for her whole life. Suddenly the woman puts on that horrifying smile, knowing that the worst was yet to come. And that's when this fight happens. In the end, Joel finds the girl bathed in gasoline and about to become the Human Torch, and just a moment later. The end.